Hello. Okay, by the way, this is still me. I shaved my entire beard. Don't worry, my YouTube channel never got hacked. This is me. So yeah, get that out of the way. Um, so, wow. Okay, so I just got done watching the Sony conference for E3. I'm gonna talk about Sony first and then get into Microsoft after. Um, so they opened up. Okay, now going into E3, we already suspected like we already knew what they're going to show for the most part. Like they kind of announced it prior, which I wasn't too fond of. Like I think they should have just kept more stuff secret. But they were going to obviously announce The Last of Us 2, show more Death Stranding, and those are the two big ones that they're going to focus on. Also Spider-Man. Those are the top 3. So we knew what we're going to get basically is what I'm saying. With Microsoft, we really didn't know what they were going to do. And uh I'm just gonna talk about Sony first. So they opened up with The Last of Us 2, which was like in a whole different setting. They weren't even in the actual arena that they're supposed to be in. I think it's supposed to be in LA or something, but they're in a different area. So off the bat, it was more personal and it felt more exclusive. And after they showed Last of Us 2, they went back to the arena, which it was like a whole intermission. You had to wait half an hour. It was kind of like, I don't know how I felt about that, but I think they should have saved The Last of Us 2 for the end. They could have done that at the end, but I know that why they opened with The Last of Us 2. It's one of their biggest games, obviously, just like Microsoft opened with one of their biggest games, which I'll talk about later. Okay, so The Last of Us 2, my gosh. My gosh. Like, what do I say that's bad about this? I can't say anything bad about The Last of Us 2. It looks more detailed. The graphics are obviously amazing. It's the first time on a PS4 besides the remastered version of the first one. Um, it looks more realistic. Like attention to detail is obviously there. There's a part in the trailer where there's an arrow that gets stuck in her. She gets shot by an arrow, and then a minute later she finally takes it out again because it's still there. Um, there's just so much. Like the camera angles are a lot better. The AI seems better because that was the first one. It was lacking AI. That was the only thing that was really lacking in the first one. So everything just seems a lot better with The Last of Us 2. And it started off with Ellie making out some girl. That's a whole nother story. I think they're really trying to push the gay agenda and the LGBT and all that. That's a whole nother discussion. Ellie, they hinted towards Ellie being bi or lesbian in the first game if you play the DLC. So basically, it started off with that, and they got into gameplay right away after a few minutes. Man, I don't know if we're gonna be playing as Joel. They didn't show any Joel gameplay. This is the first time they showed gameplay, and the last 3 trailers have been with only Ellie, and Joel was kind of hinted in the background. So maybe this game we're gonna play more as Ellie, and then Joel's kind of gonna be like the secondary. I guess I don't know what they're gonna do with that. I don't know how I feel about just playing with Ellie the whole game. I hope they don't do that. Um, but we'll see. Ellie's a badass, and that's that, I guess. So and then they showed a few other games. They showed Ghost of Tsushima or something. I can't say it. Ghost of something. Looks freaking amazing. My jaw was like dropped. After Last of Us 2, I was like, what else could they surprise me? But the first thing, that I noticed with this game was the graphics were amazing. I was like, dude, like, oh my gosh. It's another Sony exclusive, obviously. Man, this game looked really good. The gameplay seemed a bit slower for like I wouldn't say it's a hack and slash. It's just like a third person action adventure, type sword game. Looks really good. Definitely gonna pick that up. I think it's coming out next year. Um, Now I'm gonna get into the next few games. I'm gonna talk about Spider Man. Spider Man looks really good. Um, this basically looks like the best Spider game possibly ever made. They show like a really good trailer for it or gameplay trailer. It was mostly just all gameplay for the most part. I had a few cinematic moments. Definitely be kept. Definitely will be buying that. I haven't bought a Spider-Man game in so long, and I feel like it's time again. I think one thing I can really say about this game is that the gameplay looks really good. There's so many different combos you can do, and I think gameplay is going to be the best in Spider-Man. Out of everything, I think gameplay wise is going to be the best. So, one big surprise before Death Stranding, I'm gonna talk about Resident Evil 2. Man, after I saw the zombie in the trailer, I already knew it was Resident Evil. Um, this has been a long time coming for Capcom. I think this was their last chance to really get people's attention. And now the hype train begins, I guess, because they have a release date, January of next year. Just like Resident Evil 7 came out in January 2017, this one's coming out 2 years later. I'm not sure if they did that on purpose, because it's not obviously a sequel or anything instead of Resident Evil 7, but it's kind of weird how they're going with the timeline. I don't know. Well, not timeline, but like, they kind of are, you know? I'm not sure what. I don't know what that means. I don't know if this game's gonna tie in with other Resident Evil games. I don't know. But because it's called Resident Evil 2, I don't know if they even had when the title came up on the screen. I don't know if it said Resident Evil 2 remake, but the fact that they're making this, it looks survival horror esque. It looks like a scary survival horror game. It's still third person. It seems like the graphics look really good. Man, I cannot wait to play Resident Evil 2. Out of everything they showed here, as a Resident Evil fan, as big as I am, I think it was the biggest somewhat surprise because a lot of people didn't know that they're gonna show it. So I'm really glad they saved it for Sony's conference, and yeah, that was probably my favorite showing. Besides The Last of Us, obviously. Okay, I'm gonna talk about Death Stranding now. So, Death Stranding, this I don't know. I don't know if I was underwhelmed or how because like I saw Resident Evil, then I saw Last of Us or Last of Us first, and after that I was like Death Stranding looks good. They started off with showing some gameplay. He was kind of just walking. Norman Reedus is walking around. They showed a lot of walking, and I'm like, okay, are they gonna get into actual like good gameplay? And they finally did a little bit. We still don't know what the hell's going on in this game, but it's just you're asking more questions still, which is fine because there's no release date for this. I feel like a lot of the release dates we're gonna get for all games that haven't been announced for release date, besides like Resident Evil maybe and Days Gone, will be at PSX. So they'll announce release dates then. Another thing too, they didn't show any more Days Gone gameplay because they're probably gonna save that, like I said, for PSX. So that's totally fine. They got to save some stuff for that. So yeah, Death Stranding looks. This wasn't my favorite trailer just because I think they showed too much like pointless walking. If that makes any sense, I think they could have started off with the cinematic and then got into the gameplay where those things were chasing him. That would have been fine. Games obviously still looks good. Yeah, I just wish maybe we can get some of a story trailer now. I guess there kind of is in the last one, but we still don't know what's going on. So it looks good though. I'm not gonna complain. Definitely gonna be picking up Death Stranding. That's a no brainer for sure. It also has some survival horror esque moments in it too. It's has elements of that. I feel like PT, the demo for PT, really got him inspired even more after that got canceled. So Noah 2, I think it's Noah 2 got announced. I'm not sure. I've never played the first one. Other than that, they showed some Destiny DLC. Um, I don't know. Some people, those are like my main highlights I wanted to talk about. Um, some people said they were disappointed in this conference, but like, what did you expect? You expected them like just like they said off the bat, beginning of the conference, like there wasn't gonna be like smoke and mirrors, like flash in the pan type stuff. It was just like straight up games. They were gonna announce that and show more gameplay. Like they also have PSX coming up, so you gotta keep that in mind. Microsoft doesn't have another conference; they only have E3. So, with that being said, was this one of better Sony's conferences? Yes and no. It was good because Last of Us 2. Like that's all they really had to show, but they threw in a few surprises in there too. So I feel like people shouldn't complain because you already knew what you're getting, unlike Microsoft. So a solid conference, nothing amazing. It's just more, I guess, a couple of surprises that that you'd expect from Sony as far as the Resident Evil, even though it's not exclusive to PlayStation. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, a pretty decent conference. There wasn't a lot of talking besides the first half an hour because they had to set up for the actual conference. Besides, showing The Last of Us. So yeah, Sony just they don't have to worry about anything. Their games speak for themselves. So, all right. So moving on to Microsoft. Microsoft opened up. Was it yesterday now? Almost. By the time it gets uploaded, it's gonna be 2 days. So Halo Infinite. So Microsoft opened up the Halo, and then Sony opened up with The Last of Us. So obviously, I think there's more hype towards Last of Us. But anyways, I'm just gonna try to talk about Microsoft only. Halo Infinite, aka Infinite Warfare. No, I'm just kidding. Halo Infinite Warfare. They didn't show any gameplay, which is fine. It's their first reveal. So I can't really say anything about it. It seems like it ties in with the other Halo games, which I haven't really played a lot of the campaigns for Halo. So other than that, they showed Dying Light, which I'm super excited about. Dying Light 2 is finally coming out. Obviously it's not it's a multi-plat. That's the problem with this conference, is like just like the problem Microsoft always has, is most of their games are multi-plat, and they're gonna end up either being on PC or PS4 still. That's the one big difference between these two companies. Sony has their exclusives only on console. Microsoft has it on PC and sometimes other consoles too, like the PS4. So besides Dying Light, and which are my two main highlights, I love Dying Light, Halo, and then they also showed Gears of War 5. Gears of War 5, another Gears game. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of burnt out of Gears of War. Not really. Um, Gears of War is still one of my favorite franchises on the Xbox One. The only reasons why I have an Xbox One. Um, it looks like Gears of War 4, just with updated characters and environments. It looks like you might be playing with a girl now, and not Marcus Phoenix's son. I'm not sure what they're doing with that. Game looks a bit more atmospheric, I guess. The atmosphere looks a bit better. It feels better. It feels more darker again. So I don't know. It looks, can't really complain. It's just another Gears game, you know. So besides Halo, Gears, Dying Light, they showed Forza, which was way too long for a racing game. Like, oh, we have different weather environments, different dynamics. That's all it really was. So nothing special. It looks like a good racing game, but it's a racing game. How many times can you show a car revving up and go into a different street and the weather changes? Like, way too long. They could have showed something a bit longer than that, but it looks, for if you're a fan of racing games, you'll probably like it, I guess. Um, so we were expecting everything so far in this conference. Dying Light was a good surprise, and then the biggest surprise, I think, what a lot of people aren't talking about, is that the fact that they announced 5 more developer like studios for Microsoft Studios. So they're gonna have 5 other companies helping them make, well, hopefully actual exclusives on the Xbox One, because that's what they're missing. So I'm glad they announced that. If it wasn't for that, this most of this conference would have been mediocre or just bad. So it was the one saving grace, the fact that they announced it. They're pretty much saying, "Hey, we know we messed up. We need more games, and these are the companies that are gonna provide games for you guys." It's not too late. I think it's a good start. It's pretty much, they're saying that, you know, they're kind of like saying "f you" to Sony maybe, but like, you know what I mean? Because like they're like, "Oh, we have 5 more developer studios," but if you look at Sony's, you know, their developers, like, they make games for them. Naughty Dog, they have Santa Monica, you know, Kojima. I couldn't even say his name for a sec. Sorry, man. There's just so much to take in. Yeah. So that's a good start for Microsoft. We know we're getting more games, and if, like I said, if it wasn't for that, if they didn't announce that at least, because that was the one thing they're really missing, is like, you know, first party. Like, so I don't know if this means you're gonna get actual exclusives not on PC, or if there's still gonna be an Xbox One, which is whatever. At this point, they just need more games. So, man, other than that, those are like my biggest highlights. There's a few other things that went down on both conferences, but like nothing, you know, groundbreaking. They also, on the Sony conference, they showed this game called Control. It's just called Control. It almost reminded me of Dead Space, like a female version of Dead Space, another female character role. She was like floating in the air. It looked like it was in space. It's called Control. I don't know. It looks pretty solid. I think that's an exclusive. So they announced a few other, you know, Sony announced a few other like secrets, I guess. But all in all, we got what we expected. Resident Evil was rumored, so we got that. Dying Light was rumored for Microsoft. Well, not their game, but it was rumored, so they showed that at their conference. Now, so who do I think won? If I were to rate the two, man, it's, I like that Microsoft announced their, like, you know, the 5 other development studios that are coming out. Sony didn't really announce anything crazy. Like I said, we got everything what we're expecting. Like, every reveal they showed was really good. Every reveal Microsoft show was okay. They didn't show actual Battlefield 1 gameplay. That's another thing. They showed Battlefield 1, but the gameplay wasn't really all there. Man, it's so hard. It's like down the middle for me. I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, it's about the games, and I still think Sony has better games. Always will for a while, probably until next year. So I think games wise, Sony won. I think surprise wise and like the nostalgia factor, Microsoft won by a bit. So it's really down the middle. But if I had to choose at the end of the day, I still have to choose Sony. No, I'm not a Sony fanboy. I think it makes the most sense. Um, they pretty much said it's all about the games. Like we're not going to show anything else. At least not yet. So I'd wait for PSX. But like I said, Microsoft, I salute you. You did a pretty decent job. You did what you can with what you have right now. Still don't have a lot of games, but it's a start, right? Like it's definitely a start. So those are basically my E3 thoughts. We just got a bunch of new awesome gameplay. That's pretty much what E3 was. Just a bunch of new games that we already knew were coming out. A few others was a couple surprises that I guess came true. So and that were legit, like the Resident Evil remake. So, yeah, I don't really got much to complain about because we got some release dates and we got awesome gameplay for like a lot of games. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Peace out.